As chaplain for King Henry VIII, many would assume my position was a safe one. My life was not without its challenges during this time, however. My requests to preach before Lady Mary, later to become queen, were not received well. Her response to these requests was that while the doors to the chapel would be open to me, she would never hear me. My name is Nicholas Ridley. I loved my neighbor, Mother Bonner, as I referred to her. My deep care for her stirred a great jealousy in her son, Dr. Bonner. He became quite an adversary to me and my family. Once Dr. Bonner had his mind set on going after my family, my sister and brother-in-law soon lost all they had. Bonner even plotted the death of my brother-in-law. In these times, I was reminded that Christ's death, and in that death, my ability to love him and pray for his enemies under direct persecution. I was called to do the same, because God's word states, we do not battle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly places. I had to learn that surrender can be more powerful than conflict, even righteous conflict. Once Mary was appointed as queen, I was removed from my position. She began to bring into Christian other powers to overrule and subvert Christianity. During her reign, Mary worked relentlessly against God and his people, using her powers to both oppress and subvert the faithful. I was so moved with righteous anger that I began to speak out. During this time, authorities were watching me closely, and I was put on trial for my views of communion and condemned as a heretic. Although I had a strong desire to explain my views and clarify my position, I was shouted over and unheard. I was sentenced to death. In response to my sentence, I recalled that my name was written in another place, the Lamb's Book of Life. Knowing this gave me peace to follow God's plan and surrender to it. Though Christ did not want to die, he understood it was necessary. He surrendered to law under God's plan, and I knew I would do the same. The night before my death, to be completely honest, I was the happiest I had ever been before. When I was asked why I was so merry, I declared, although my breakfast tomorrow shall be somewhat sharp and painful, I am sure my supper after will be more pleasant and sweet.